So China is well developed. How? Because it spends a lot on research. It spends around 2.1% of its GDP on research and development. That is why. So today's topic for editorial discussion is weighing in on the NRF bill. So what this article deals with is that it talks about the National Research Foundation recently that has been approved by the cabinet for introduction in the upcoming parliamentary section. So yes, the thing is, what is the context is that recently the Union Cabinet has accepted the NRF bill to be tabled at the parliament session, and the entire scientific community has become curious about the developments when it comes to the National Research Foundation. So it's just a basic discussion of what the NRF will be and what are the issues it will face, but we will know the exact thing or the exact modus operandi of this organization when the entire bill is tabled and is out for public review, and it is available to the public to scrutinize or view on to give their perspectives. So yes, the first thing, what is the NRF? What does the NRF seeks to achieve is that NRF is a body, it is a registered society. It tries to catalyze or it tries to bring interdisciplinary research. It tries to bring a very good, a brilliant and state-of-art research ecosystem in India. So research, we all know the importance of research and development. Science and its growth is dependent on research, and human development and all other things, every growth is based on research, some sort of research. The invention of bulb, the Big Bang theory, the vaccinations for COVID-19, all these things are placed upon research, and the entire scientific community is intelligent research and all. So what this NRF tries to bring is that it tries to catalyze and bring interdisciplinary research in India, and it also aspires to bring a very good state-of-the-art research ecosystem in India. So what are the goals of NRF? So basically there are three major goals that the NRF seeks to achieve. The first goal is that of the interdisciplinary research. Interdisciplinary research in the sense there are a lot of disciplines, right? There is physics as a discipline, there is in physics itself there is applied and theoretical physics, and there is humanitarian sciences also, philosophy, psychology, and all other things like sociology, anthropology, and all these things are there. And in chemistry there are a lot of disciplines, and there are a lot of other disciplines. So what this tries to achieve is that it gives a common platform for this interdisciplinary research. Interdisciplinary research in the sense you can't equate physics with sociology and call for an interrelated discipline there or interdisciplinary research there. The thing is, there are a lot of other interrelated concepts, right? For example, there is this research on public health policy that can be interdisciplined with air pollution, child marriage. There are studies in particular. Child marriage is studied in solo, but it is being studied as a silo in single, and air pollution is studied as a separate part, water pollution is studied as a separate part, and public health is studied and researched as a separate part. So what can happen is that all these interrelated disciplines, they can be brought together so that policy making and the research efficiency and output and its impact will also be further enhanced or amplified when it comes to interdisciplinary research. So that is the first major goal that the NRF, that the National Research Foundation seeks to achieve. The next thing is that minimizing duplication. Minimizing duplication in the sense it tries to minimize duplication of research, like using the grants for a same research already concluded or already done is waste of time and money and labor, right? So it tries to minimize duplication of research. So that is another goal it seeks to achieve. And the other thing is that it wants to transform research into policy. It wants to transform research into schemes. So all these while, yes, certain researches were based or were backed or have transformed into various schemes. But majority of the researches, they go unnoticed. They are not being used effectively. What NRF seeks to do is that it tries to use the maximum potential of these research findings and transform it into a public policy or a scheme. So these are the three major goals that the NRF seeks to achieve. So now, why do we need such an institution called the NRF? And before that, the thing is NRF, it tries to, it will, there are a lot of reports that suggest it will subsume SERB. SERB is this Science and Engineering Research Board, which is a statutory body under the SHARE Act. So it was like a pre-NRF. It was like a smaller body giving grants and all, and giving research aid and all these things were happening. And now recently there have been talks that the NRF will swallow, or it will inculcate, or it will subsume this SERB. So this is how the NRF will work, and this NRF as a body, it is being headed by our Honorable Prime Minister, and it will have around 10 directorates from various sciences. There is various directorates, right? Directorate on science and all, there is a lot of directorates, and from that there will be 10 directorates in the NRF and an 18-member body, and also an 18-member body will be in the NRF. So that is how the NRF is structured. So we'll move on to the question why there is a rising need for NRF. The first thing to be noted here is poor research and development investment. So India as an ecosystem in research, yes, it has a lot of research potential, it has a lot of talented researchers, but one major lacuna or one major gap that the research ecosystem in India faces is that it does not have a very good investment in research and development. So yes, around India's research investment to GDP ratio, that is research and development expenditure to GDP ratio, that is research and development as a percentage of GDP. Thing is, only 0.7% of GDP is being used for research and development in India. 0.65 to be approximate, sorry, to be perfect. In perfect numbers, it is 0.65. And by rounding up, we get 0.7. The thing is, the global average when it comes to GDP, research and development expenditure to GDP is that 1.8%. Global average across the globe, if you take the average, every country is around 1.8% of their GDP is being used for research and development. On the other hand, we all know the tussle between China and India. And yes, India tries to replace Chinese goods and all these things. And yes, what do we need for replacing Chinese goods is that a very efficient or very good research ecosystem. How did China gain such prominence? It had very good investments and research and development. For instance, 2.1% of Chinese GDP is being used for research. US is also no exception. US also uses 2.8%. Sorry, China uses 2.8% and US uses 2.1% of their GDP for research and development, and Israel uses 4.3%, South Africa uses 4.2%. Yes, so when comparing to other countries and even comparing to our own neighbor of China, who we have issues with, they are having very good research ecosystem with very good investment or very large amounts of investment when comparing to India. And there is also a trend being following that the research expenditure has been falling in India. In 2008 and all, at least 0.84% of the GDP was used for research and development. In 2014, the numbers reduced to 0.69, and today we see that 0.65 is the accurate data on how much we spend on research and development. So this shows us that this investment is poor. So in order to inculcate investment, in order to inculcate more investment in research and development, we need a thing called as the National Research Foundation. So yes, the next is poor R&D impact and output. Poor R&D impact and output in the sense, so yes, R&D impact, yes, the policy making, research are used for policies, and they are backed by such researchers. Policies are backed by such researchers, and all these things happen. Let us keep it at the other side. The thing is, the success of a research, or the success of a country is measured in the patents it registers. The thing is, yes, China, it has registered around according to World Intellectual Property Organization, WIPO, right, WIPO. According to that organization, China has registered around 1.53 million patents, out of which only 10% were registered by non-residential Chinese. On the other hand, taking India, we have only registered around 45,000 patents across the globe, and When it comes to China, there were only 10% of non-resident Chinese partnership, but in India, 70% of the patents were filed by non-residential Indians. So this shows only 30% has been filed by Indians in India, Indians living in India, right? So this shows us the impact and the output of research and development is not up to the mark in India, and this has to be enhanced, and that is why we need the NRF. And the other thing is lack of focus on humanities. So yes, when it comes to research, we all used to think research in the sense white lab coat and all with beakers and or complicated formulas and all. Yes, that is also research, but there is also research on humanitarian sciences. Humanitarian sciences in the sense there is anthropology, sociology, psychology, all these sciences, these are also sciences, right? Physics, chemistry, all they are natural sciences, these are humanitarian sciences. But when it comes to research, yes, the research is majorly focused on natural sciences, and people are being oblivious to humanitarian sciences research. So that is another issue that has to be addressed, which the NRF will do to its perfection. Lack of focus on humanities and poor collaboration and interdisciplinary research. So there are a lot of universities in India, but only a few get into collaborations with large scale players such as the ICMR or the ICAR and all these things, right? Indian Council of Agriculture Research, Indian Council of Medical Research, all these players are there. Only a few universities, that too only the creamy universities, they get into collaborations with such institutions for research and funding, and other institutions or other universities, they have been left for their own good. Like there is no funding there. People will not take up research there, and all these things are happening. So this is what poor collaboration is. Institution, academics collaboration is very poor in India. So that is what this, and the interdisciplinary research and development is very poor. And we have seen already that research in India, it works in silos. Silos in the sense it works standalone. The thing is, yes, it works standalone, and there is no interdisciplinary research. When there is interdisciplinary research, we get very good, very accurate data, very accurate evidence on which we can place or on which we can base our decision making and policy framing, right? So yes, so there is also poor interdisciplinary research and development. The last thing, the next point is that low private investment. Low private investment in the sense, yes, there are a lot of other countries, in fact the Western countries, where research and development sector is being led by the private players. But in India, around 56 to 57% of the research and development investment is being harbored in by the government. So the extent of private participation in India when it comes to research and development is very poor. And this has to change. When you see, it is linked, the participation of private persons or private sector in research and development is directly linked to the development of that particular country. Yes, very good example is that of the US. France, you take UK, you take US, or the West in particular. Large scale private partnership, large scale private investment in research and development, yes, it can be witnessed with development, right? Yes. But in India, the case is very poor. Only 56% or 57% of money is being ushered in or is being harbored in by the government, and only around 30% is being harbored in by the private. So which is very less when compared to Western countries. And yes, this is also a major issue that the NRF seeks to address, or why we need the NRF. It also tries to usher in private investment and boost private sector investment in research and development. But yes, all these very good things. NRF is a very good scheme, and it will further amplify the research ecosystem in India. But all these good things, yes, roses comes with thorns, right? Just like that, NRF also has a few issues, and these issues are just hearsay, and all these things are just assumption based. We do not know what the table or the bill holds, and it will be only known after it is being tabled in the parliament. These are just hearsays. These are the other problems that the other institutions face, which can also happen to the NRF. So yes, the first issue is that equitable fund distribution. When we see the distribution of funds, distribution of grants and all, the thing is, only creamy institutions get it. Around 65% of funds that are being granted goes to the IITs, any IIT, and only 11% reaches other state universities and all. There are around 28 states in India, and there are a lot of universities there, right? Only 11% will not suffice these state universities. The majority of the share, majority of the cake, majority piece of the cake, it goes to the IITs and other creamy institutions such as the NITs and all. So that is where one issue is being faced. Lack of equitable fund distribution when it comes to providing grants. And next is gender disparity. Gender disparity is in general we see, yes, in general we used to see that researchers, when you search researchers in the in Google and all, we used to majorly see only men in photos and all these things, right? And yes, this is another problem that is being faced in the research and development ecosystem in India. This is linked with the social perception of the gender also. The thing is, yes, social perception has to change. What people perceive is that women are well suited as homemakers. This is what the society perceives. This is what the social norms dictate, right? Again, these are all wrong only, it has to change. But when it comes to a researcher, people will not send, parents will not send women to become a researcher and all. They want their child to get married. They want their daughter to get married. So that is the thing there. And this has led to a large scale gender disparity in research. And when you trace the number of faculties, the number of female faculties in institutions also, it will be very less in comparison to the number of male faculties in the same institution. So yes, this is what the thing is. Gender parity is another issue that has to be addressed by the NRF. It has been placed before the NRF, it has to be addressed by the NRF, gender disparity. And the next thing is uncertainty of funds. Uncertainty of funds in the sense, yes, funds are provided, there is no issue in providing funds, but these funds are uncertain. For example, there is 10,000 rupees for a particular research program in a particular institution. So today I give 2,000 rupees to that particular research student who has won the grant. And next 6 months I do not see him, I do not give him any grant. And when he's nearing research, when he's in the stage to leave his research out, then I'm giving him another 2,000 rupees. So he is in the verge of letting his research down. Now I'm giving him 2,000 rupees. And for the next one year I'm not in the scene at all. And the next after 1 year I'm coming and giving him another 2,000 rupees. So this is what uncertainty of funds is. The stream, it is not equal. The stream, it is not regular. It is very irregular. It is very uncertain. It is not certain. Certain in the sense, this month 2,000, next month 2,000, next month 3,000. It will go on. It will accrue, right? There is a constant flow of funds. But when it comes to the research ecosystem in India, that is a very big issue. There is uncertainty of funds, and the stream flow of these grants or funds is not regular. So that has to be addressed by NRF. And the university red tapeism. Red tapeism, we all know, we used to call it as bureaucratic ritualism. Bureaucratic ritualism in the sense, people are well entrenched in the rules and records. They want their procedures to be done. They want their files to be, like application forms to be filed and all these things. In doing all these red tapeism work, in this bureaucratic apathy, people get caught up in this web of bureaucratic procedure. The goal of the research itself, it is getting undermined there. It will take time. For example, you take a grant, the process to get a grant is very big. It will take around some 1 month to 2 months, and these 2 months it can be used for the research also. So if these bureaucratic ritualism or these red tapeism is reduced, these procedures has to be simplified so that extra time that it takes to get the grant can be used efficiently and effectively for the research. So yes, these are the major issues that have been faced by that has the possibility to be faced by NRF. So yes, now what is the way forward is that what we can do, or what the NRF can do, or what the government can do is that they can increase research and development funding. They can increase the investment in research and development. This is one possible thing. And they can also have some sort of reservation for women. So this can happen. Again, we are just suggesting measures here. This can happen. And the other thing is that a clear-cut schema of the division and distribution of funds can be provided. That is, in this month, the first month we will give you 5,000, the next month we will give you 3,000, the third month we will give you 2,000. So such a breakup will be very much effective in enhancing the research ecosystem, and it will also reduce the issue of uncertainty of funds. Yes, thank you.